FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
One thing I do spend what was to me a surprising amount of time on in the book was the transition from oral culture to written culture, and how the invention of, well, first of all, because we're so sophisticated about information these days, it's possible for us to see that writing itself was a technology of information. The words existed, there was oral language, and then people came up with ways of encoding them for the purpose of preserving them and passing them on from one place to another and from one time to another. And then the problem becomes trying to figure out, trying to put ourselves in the heads of people making that transition. It really goes back to where you started with Plato, who was saying this, what was to me very surprising thing about how it could be harmful to people to have this technology of writing, because then they would get lazy and rely on it. But other things that weren't so obvious are that there was really not much of a sense of history before there was such a thing as writing. Of course, there was storytelling, there was Homer, but there was no chronology, there was no, humanity had no ability to preserve dates and have a real sense of a timeline. You know, what happened when, what came next, how many years or generations passed between Noah's Ark, you know, and the next thing. And also, as you're suggesting, logic itself depended on writing. You can't really have an ability to do logic until you can take the words and ideas and write them down and stare at them and talk about them as a separate abstract thing. It's like a crossing of levels. You can talk, you're using words without being aware of them as words until you write them down, and then you can see that they are words, and you can talk about what a word is. And then you have Aristotle doing the most basic things, you know, creating a classifications of ideas, and saying that a story has a beginning and a middle and an end. You know, we all know that Aristotle said these things, but why? It's partly because he's defining the basic concepts of beginning, middle, and end, not just that he's explaining how to write a play.